So again, thank you for being here today. You all are in for a treat. I've seen this program a couple times and it's really, really well done. And again, it's all about making you all think and also going back in time. There's so much we can learn from the past. I don't want to talk anymore. I'd like to introduce, again, this program was done in partnership. There's a lot of partners. We are very proud in Gloucester County to work with partners. That's how we do good stuff. That's how good work gets done. So I want to introduce one of my partners in crime and my good friend Thane Harpole, co-director. I can't talk. Thane Harpole, co-director of the Fairfield Foundation.
Thank you. I'm not going to say much, but I just want to welcome you guys to the third production of this play. It's the last one that we're doing. That we know of. You never know what might happen in the future. But we're excited to put on this last production. Glad you guys came out for that. And this is a nice collaboration between us and the county and the Waterman's Museum in Yorktown and several other groups. And we're excited to do this kind of thing. It's the sort of thing the Fairfield Foundation has been doing for 25 years now. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary. And we encourage you guys to come out and participate in some of our other activities and events. After the play, we will have a short question and answer session. So if you guys have any questions about the play, or anything else, save them to the end and we'll try to take care of them at that point. All right, so I guess without any further delay, let's bring on the play.
Good afternoon, and welcome to our production of From Colony to Country, The Revolutionary World of John Page and Lewis Burwell. As a reminder, we do ask that you silence your electronic devices. Today, you will be meeting two men, John Page and Lewis Burwell, their families, both domestic and enslaved. John Page was born in Gloucester at his family home, Rosewell, to Man Page II and Alice Grimes. The home was built in 1725 for Man Page I, grandfather of John Page, and was said to have rivaled the governor's palace in scale and elegance. Excuse me. He studied at the College of William and Mary, where his classmates and friends included Thomas Jefferson. John Page was a member of the governor's council, but would resign his commission for the cause of America. Lewis Burwell was also born in Gloucester at his family home of Fairfield, to Lewis Burwell and Mary Willis. The house was built in 1694 by Lewis Burwell, son of the English immigrant of the same name, and great-grandfather to the Lewis Burwell of our story. Our Lewis Burwell rose in society as a justice of the peace, a member of the House of Burgesses, and later served as a delegate to the Virginia conventions, where he sat for speeches given by Patrick Henry at St. John's Church. Burwell came to know Thomas Jefferson as a young man when he courted Burwell's sister Rebecca, whom Jefferson called his fair Belinda. Page and Burwell were related by marriage. Burwell married Page's sister Judith, and Page's wife Frances was Burwell's first cousin. Their plantations were only a mile and a half apart and showed off the wealth and prominence of both families. These neighbors and households would find their worlds transformed as revolutionary ideas took hold. The decisions made had ripple effects throughout the plantation landscapes of Rosewell and Fairfield. Both men find themselves in financial straits. Burwell from the recession of 1771 and other indebtedness, and Page from his ever-increasing family and debt from the upkeep of Rosewell. Now it is June of 1775, and the revolutionary passion is rising. Earlier in the fall of 1774, the Continental Congress called for the non-importation of British goods in response to acts imposed by Parliament following the Boston Tea Party. Britain was reasserting its authority over the colonies. In March, Patrick Henry believed war was inevitable and made a speech before the Second Virginia Convention asking the colony to put itself in a posture of defense. His words, "Give me liberty or give me death," expressed his belief that the time for reasoning with Britain had passed. In April, Lord Dunmore, the last royal governor, removed the gunpowder from the public magazine in Williamsburg. He then left the governor's palace in June and headed to Norfolk, where he believed he would find allies among Scottish merchants and friends, as well as a base of operations. Lord Dunmore's flotilla departed from Queen's Creek, just across the York River from Carter's Creek, and within sight of the anxious Burwell and Page households. It is a time of uncertainty for the whole plantation, master and mistress, and those who were enslaved. This afternoon, you will be transported to late June 1775 and spoken to as if you are servants in the household, hearing the conversations of the family and the people they enslaved. We ask that you keep your ears and minds open as the lives of these people are changing, some with hope and anticipation, some with fear and dread. Some do not want things to change, and others are still waiting for a reconciliation with Great Britain. But as you will learn today, some wonder if a reconciliation is possible. Gentlemen and ladies, welcome inside Mr. Page's home.
There you are. You straighten out that back. I've been looking all over for you. Now, you are looking well and finely attired and clean. Now, I've been meaning to talk to all of you. It's been brought to my attention that you've not been keeping your mind to your work. It's not that your work is poorly, it's just that you haven't been tending to business. Now, this is the time when we need to be listening. A lot has happened this past year and things are moving quickly. Y'all know how the master and mistress, they worry about debts. But we also know that master and mistress, they treat us as if we're furniture. But master talks things over with me sometimes, but not for my opinion, but just to talk things out. But the more I listen, the more he will talk. Wasn't it you that found out from Mrs. Page that Mr. Burwell was going to sell 100 of our brothers and sisters back in 1770? Your wife and children among them. We all remember Master talking about the governor dissolving the House of Burgesses because they wanted to pray for Boston. He's also bringing to Mr. Jefferson about the Earl's plots, schemes, and battle between the patriots there. Not to mention his friendliness toward our people, as well as the many of us that decided to run for a chance of freedom. Master has also told me that Mr. Dunmore has become quite comfortable with his association with the other businessmen down in Norfolk, especially his fellow scout Andrew Spurl at Gospel Shipyard. He also said that Mr. Spurl, though he trades in enslavement, he must not want his income reduced based upon Dunmore's promises to arm us. The back and forth between Master and also Mr. Page, as well as the lack of British goods for nigh on 10 years now, has caused this house to come into an uproar. Now this is the time, as I said, for us to be listening. It's not just Virginia. Our masters are writing to other colonists, but we know that within the colonies there is division. British governors have decided to remove gunpowder for its future use for other colonies. And there's also been rumors of insurrection throughout the colonies that we will call it an insurrection. We need to be listening and hearing what we need to see what other rumors are being spread about us. Now I want quiet. I hear my master coming. Tend to your business now. Remember, keep your ears open.
Well, it would appear indeed that that is the governor's ship. He has evacuated Williamsburg, abandoned his post as governor, and now he has left the place and it looks as if he is never coming back. Which is well enough, I suppose, was James Monroe and his friends. They have removed every weapon out of the gunpowder, or out of the palace. Now, it won't be possible for him, if he does come back, to rearm the place and make a fortification of it. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Perhaps it's best that he did not. I would say this. There is nothing left in the palace now except a few confused Shawnee prisoners, his slaves that he left abandoned, except for the few that have run off to his country home at Portobello, and some furniture, perhaps. That's about all. The trouble, though, now he is lurking on the river, somewhere between Portobello and Yorktown, and no one knows what he's up to. His lady and the children, I have on very good authority, he has packed them up and sent them back to England. And it is assumed he is probably going to make his way to Norfolk. Norfolk being such a nest of Tories, he'll find plenty of friends there. You think you know a man working as well as I did with him for those years. And now, what do we have? Oh, he's shown his true colors now. The devil, oh, he'll take many forms.
That is what the Bible says.
Yes, indeed. Well, at any rate, I would have assumed he was more sympathetic with our circumstances here in Virginia. He went and he reported to the king that there was no use in trying to keep Virginians from settling on the other side of the proclamation line. That after the surveys and everything that had been done, there'd be no point in it. You couldn't stop Virginians from doing it. He had even gone up there with Colonel Washington surveying land, it is told to me, for his own use.
Master, where's like the glass in the deal?
Oh, you better make that two, I think. No, don't give me the look my wife gives me. My brother-in-law, Lewis, he is going to be here very shortly. He's joining me. Ah, yes. And he's bringing my sister with him, which is very good. With Frances being in the melancholies and her condition after the child was born, now finding herself pregnant again, well, having Judith here will make her feel better, I think. I mean, I don't have to tell you the bloodshed and the word of it from Massachusetts and the like, and the embargoes, they've caused a great deal of trouble for this household, to be sure. To tell you the truth of it, I've had a very difficult time keeping my finances away from Frances, because I know how terribly it would bother her and disturb her, and honestly, I don't know how the family, how the house, how the plantation is going to survive any of this. We're having to transfer all of our profits, or not our profits, our crops over from tobacco into wheat or something, because those tobacco profits cannot be counted on anymore. I don't regret any decision I have made, Isaac, but honestly, I do not know what our family will have to suffer. I would imagine that... Oh, for heaven's sake, Lewis!
Oh, good day, John.
Lewis Burwell, look at you.
I hope I'm not intruding.
No, not at all, not at all. I was just speaking to Isaac. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, brother. I bring some news from the convention.
Oh, that's precisely what I was waiting on, yes.
We need to speak. I sent Judith off to your wife's chamber, so this won't disturb the ladies.
Very wise, very wise.
I think you best sit for this. Trust me, just sit.
Please yourself. Sat on it, they didn't even know.
Play with towels?
Yes. I'll have to return it to my daughter.
Indeed. I hear, John, that Colonel Washington has been named the commander of the Continental Forces. Now think of it. Henry was right. Back even before shots were fired in Massachusetts, Henry was right that we need to adopt a posture of defense. Our delegates have agreed.
Oh my heavens. Has it gone this far? I mean, an army of rebellion now? It would seem as if there's no reconciliation at all with the crown.
John, the king has declared that the colonies are in open rebellion against the crown. The British have killed our men at Lexington and Concord, and now a place called Breed's Hill. Is Norfolk to be next?
Wait, what is Breed's Hill?
John, do you not actually read the newspaper?
With everything going on, having to take all of my crops and turn them over to something other than tobacco, Frances being in the condition she is, and Lord knows John, my boy, has been a handful from the day he was born. I've had rarely 2 minutes to put myself that I can even handle a newspaper, much less read the thing.
Well, the battle left the British dying on ashes. I'll explain.
Oh, please do.
Apparently, the Massachusetts men built some fortifications on Bunker Hill and Breed's Hill to keep the British from occupying the heights and gaining control of the harbor. Well, the British eventually pushed those fellows off the field, but only because the Massachusetts men ran out of ammunition. Now, the British paid a very high price in dead men and officers. But think about this. I mean, I know those fellows lost, but think of it. With a Virginian in command, and perhaps some more discipline, think of what we can accomplish.
They ran out of ammunition. I would take the lead out of my window sashes before I let our militia run out of ammunition before the enemy. But see here, Lewis, aren't we putting the cart before the horse a bit here? We are speaking of an enormous military force. The British Army is the most powerful military that God's earth has ever seen, not to mention their navy. And consider our lack of a navy. We have a continental association and we have embargoes. Shouldn't we at least wait until Britain has responded to those? I mean, that hasn't even gone into full effect yet. Putting an army in the field now, I don't see the point.
John, what did Henry say back in March?
I've heard it.
It is natural to man to indulge in the illusion of hope. We're apt to close our ears to a painful situation and listen to the song of that siren until she transforms us into beasts. Is this the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous fight for freedom?
I've heard it. I've heard it. How does it end? I see a great storm on the horizon, Lewis.
Yes.
And I believe it's a storm we cannot weather. Between what's happened up north and here in Virginia, Lord Dunmore, just when he took the gunpowder out of the magazine, there was a near riot, you know well as anybody else. And because of that, he threatened that he would burn Williamsburg to the ground and he would arm the slaves against us. Right now, he is up, maybe even as far as the Chesapeake Bay, with sailors and Marines already waging a piracy against every plantation on the rivers. Negroes are already said to be running to him. Who's next? Your people, my people, loyal men like my Isaac?
John, all the more reason we need to prepare ourselves. The vote went our way. The delegates agreed, as I said. We need to adopt a posture of defense. Patrick Henry was actually being prophetic back in March. Before shots were even fired at Lexington and Concord, he said, "Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace." But there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. John, with this battle, with Washington in command of the army, this is it. John, this is it. Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as we purchased at the price of slavery and chains? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death.
Lewis, would you please lower your voice? Are you intending to bring the wives into the room with us?
Beg pardon.
Quoting Patrick Henry at every turn now, aren't we? You must understand. I have been attempting to leave my financial burdens away from Frances's notice. With her condition being what it is, I would not disturb her any further with this and cause worry, nor should you disturb my sister with this. It is difficult enough to ask our wives to maintain these plantations when we are not here, and when we are here, maintaining the household without any imports whatsoever. I don't remember the last time we've gotten a shipment from Robert Norton, but There hasn't even been any plays or assemblies or anything else by way of a distraction for our dear wives,
Indeed.
or anybody else for that matter, since October.
You know,
Let's not cause them any more worry if we can avoid it.
That reminds me, one thing, it's one thing, I do have difficulty with the association.
Just one?
Just one. It's the one against frivolities. I've got a copy here. I think it's number 8. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, it is number 8. It is number 8. We will, in our several stations, encourage frugality, economy, and industry, and discourage every species of extravagance, especially all horse racing, all kinds of games, cockfighting, exhibitions of shows, plays, and other entertainments. I mean, I know it's necessary, but John, no horse racing? You and I both know horses are meant to race.
Of course they are.
And quite honestly, I missed the opportunity of the purse.
Opportunity, nothing else. Remember your losses, brother.
Don't remind me. Your sister does that very well.
Yes, she does that. Here, speaking of Judith, I know how difficult it's been for her. I mean, has there been any improvement at all?
She seems better now.
I suppose there's that.
You know, John, I hear that Nathaniel Burwell has a new contract with the government to supply firewood from his Carter's Grove plantation. How are your lands faring? Are you still thinking of changing over to wheat?
Among other things, yes. Look here. I know you understand that I am open to any necessity to maintain our rights, even though I think we might be rushing things a bit. But here, let me propose this. Let us go out of doors. We can walk over the property, you can make an inspection upon the land, I can hear your advices, and perhaps we can take this political conversation away from the house where it won't bother the ladies. Yes?
I'm getting slightly too loud, I know.
Yeah, well, a bit, yes.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah, well, let us walk out. And again,
I think we should also talk about when the militia should meet, and we need to increase the slave patrols.
well, nobody pays the slave patrol. We've got to,
Well, it's a
we've
volunteer.
got to make it a bit more palatable for volunteers.
Slave patrols? It's always been that they didn't want us in groups of more than 5. Now with Master and the others in the state of fear, who knows what they might do? I mean, aren't you used to going night walking from Saturday up to Sunday? But as a living, let me be frank. Like Master said, let's not put the car in front of the horse. This may way all the way blow over, but we just gotta keep our heads about ourselves.
What is going on in here? What on earth? Mistress heard raised voices.
Oh, that was Master Burrow. He became enlivened over Mr. Henry's speech.
What do men have to say now?
Is life so dear, or peace so sweet as we purchase at the price of chains? Forbid it, Almighty God. These men are slaves. What they're going through is nothing compared to our lives of servitude. Taxation without representation, that's nothing compared to our lives without knowing where our children are going to be sold off to. You live to be paid without a wage. Forbid it, Almighty God. Forbid it.
You cannot talk like that. What gave you leave to think that you could talk like that?
They did. Didn't you hear them say that slaves are running to Dunmore for a chance of freedom? What might the British offer us?
Nothing. They offer us nothing. We Virginians, remember.
No, we're property.
What has got you in such a mood?
Listen. Didn't you hear me say you'll find out so much if we just listen? These men are putting themselves in the posture of defense. I wonder what they're really scared of.
Well, they blame the stealing of the gunpowder on the slaves revolting.
Yes, but Dunmo also said that he will arm any slave against anyone who would do him harm. You might say value.
See our value? Did you not hear that he left his own servants at the palace? They had to find the best way that they could to get to them. And if it didn't get to him on time, well, now they're on the auction block.
I think sides have been drawn, Nanny. They said I've watched who's going to be leading the army. We have to see what side we need to be on. Our masters or the British?
I think that I need and you need to be about our business. And right now mine was to get this doll that Mistress need for Alice. Listen, you have to tread lightly here. Have you considered what would happen if our master is found to be a traitor? Could he lose everything? Could we hit them on the auction block? You tread lightly here. Because right now, we got a home and we got each other.
But is life so dear as we purchase at the price of chains? At least consider this, Nanny. We all must.
You better go. But think before you leave. Because an uncertain master, he's just as dangerous as these times.
Nanny, did you find baby Alice's doll yet?
Here it is.
Very good. If you could take it to her in the nursery and find someone to watch over the children so that they can play outside while Mrs. Burwell and I have a little confirm.
Yes, ma'am.
Now that we are alone, we can finally look at the letter you gave me. I can't believe you found the letter that Mr. Jefferson wrote to your husband about Rebecca. Perfect happiness, I believe, was never intended by the deity to be the lot of any of his creatures in this world, but that he has very much put in our power the nearness of our approaches to it is what I steadfastly believe. Now, if he could have wrote like this, perhaps he would have had a chance with his, what did he call her? Oh yes, his fair Belinda.
Judith, you better give that back to me. You know your brother John would be furious if he knew we were looking at this correspondence of his old schoolmate. But it does seem, though, Tom Jefferson had been spoken to Rebecca Burwell as well as he wrote to his fair Belinda. She might not be Rebecca Ambler now. At least Tom did better with the widow Skelton.
That's because he used his violin to proclaim his overture of love. I mean, the words in that letter are just beautiful. I wish my Lewis would write about me like that. Words for Mr. Jefferson, but not oration. I mean, if Mr. Jefferson had been a better orator, perhaps Mrs. Kitty Blair would not be walking around with her widow's third.
Judith, you gossip, you. It is true. Tom Jefferson had been but a better orator than his opponent, but Mr. Henry, he probably would have won the case. What a scandal for the Blairs. Mr. Henry sure can turn their words, though. His speech is the only thing men are talking about at church. I heard he had the men of Hanover so riled up as to want to storm the palace with Lady Dunmore and the children there at the time. What must Lady Dunmore think of us? probably thinks we are nothing more than savages.
I overheard she has returned to England. Francis, you've seen the ships going back and forth.
Judith, how could Charlotte, how could Lady Dunmore even fathom taking that baby across the seas? Why, Lady Virginia is but only 7 months old. I could not imagine my baby Alice on such a journey, let alone the boys. What fear could lend her to put her children to such hardship?
The same fear that would lend us to do without fineries, sugar, and other English goods. Perhaps had her husband not closed down the House of Burgesses, we would not all be in this predicament. Francis, you must remember, we are the Old Dominion, the finest jewel in England's crown. Why is our mother country turning so harshly on her colony? Has my brother been very secretive? I feel the men know more than they are telling us.
John has been spending more and more time in his study these days. My melancholy doesn't help, but I worry for our children, but also for our home. John tries to hide it from me, but I know we are not doing well, and I do not want to have to sell off our faithful servants. There are some I cannot do without. Judith, what if the men had stormed the palace that day? What if Peyton Randolph had not got some of the men to go home? We would have been another Concord and Lexington. Wives lost their husbands, their sons, their brothers that day. Has John gotten himself in too deep, and George Lewis even deeper?
May the Articles of Association proposed by the Continental Congress of Kenya achieve a peaceful revolution.
Peaceful resolution. I do not call putting ourselves in a posture of defense peaceful. No. I think certain men like Patrick Henry and Richard Henry Lee and that Archibald Carey want to see bloodshed. Did you hear? Even George Witt, the scholar, the lawyer, put on a hunting frock and took pot shots at British ships. I think it is inevitable that we are moving towards terrible escalation. What will that mean for our husbands? Your son, Nathaniel, is very nearly of militia age. Judith, does this not plague your mind as it does mine?
I cannot say I have not contemplated it, but it is in God's hands. Be still and know that He is God. He will not let us falter. He knows our cause is just. Francis, let us go outside and walk amongst the gardens. I fear you've been in this house far too long with your thoughts, and no frivolities to interest you.
But what world will we leave them? Not the carefree world that we grew up in, with tutors and maids, dancing, silk gowns, music lessons, and plays.
Only God knows. Perhaps the world will be even brighter. Come, let us go out of doors. We must check on our children. They have been far too quiet.
A brighter world? You heard her? A brighter world. How can they say such things? Selling us off to pay their debts? Which one of us made slaves can she do without? Words. First Dunmore says, are I'm the slaves? And then he leaves those same people behind. It's just words that they use to frighten each other. Their lives are uncertain. if you think about trying to take advantage of these times of uncertainty to run off, you take your families with you? Mistress Page, she worried about her children. Well, what about ours? Where is my baby Sam? And you? Where is your pretty little Lily? And all of our children can be dragged off by the slave patrollers, and they extra vigilant right now because our masters are frightened. But you've been real vigilant too. You've been listening, and you've been staying quiet, and no gossiping about Mr. Jefferson, because it seemed like he related to everybody. Listening can lead to worries, can lead to rash decisions. So you better think. You better think before you act. These are some times of uncertainty. Well, better get to Mistress Page. She's gonna need my counsel before this visit is over with.
Lewis Burwell attended all the Virginia conventions, including the 5th, where the vote for Virginia's independence took place. However, it is unknown if he was present for that vote due to his ill health, and no attendance records survive. He was later elected to the House of Delegates, where he served on the Committee of Privileges and Elections. Unfortunately, he did not live to see America win its independence, as he died in 1779. Burwell's son sold land and the enslaved to cover debts, eventually selling Fairfield Plantation in 1790 and moving to Richmond. John Page served on the Committee of Safety, the emergency governing body of Virginia during the American Revolution. Page remained in politics, attending the Continental Congress and later the United States Congress. Page also sold land and the enslaved to cover his debts. In 1792, he wrote to his friend St. George Tucker, "My affairs are so perplexed that I have little or no leisure to attend to anything else." He became governor of Virginia in 1802. As you have observed, in 1775, Virginia and the other colonies were standing at a crossroads. Do they continue to be subjects of the crown, or do they become citizens of a new, uncharted country, uniting vastly different people and their colonial governments? Shots have been fired at Massachusetts. The British asserted their control over the colonies. The Continental Congress resisted with Articles of Association. George Washington was in charge of the Continental forces, and the last royal governor of Virginia, Lord Dunmore, had fled Williamsburg, uniting with Loyalists and blacks in Norfolk, pleading for British forces to join him. On November 7, 1775, Dunmore declared martial law and offered freedom to the slaves and indentured servants of rebel masters who joined him in battle against them. Would you be able to put your family, fortune, and household on the line for liberty and freedom from tyranny? If you were enslaved at Rosewell or Fairfield, would you have run away, taking advantage of this tumultuous time? Nanny will run away in 1778. Her runaway ad said, "Runaway in July at Ruffin's Ferry, Nanny, middle-sized and well-shaped, wearing blue plain waistcoat and petticoat, other clothing with her, about 35. Formerly belonged to Mr. Page of Gloucester, but lately purchased by William Finney of Williamsburg." Did she run in the midst between her selling and her property ownership of William Finney? Or was freedom's call ringing in her ears? Would you have run, knowing you could be caught and punished? Or that your family could be punished for your actions? Ladies, would you have supported the cause by wearing homespun, doing without your British goods, and sending your husbands or sons off to war? Would you change the world you know for a new one? We would like to thank you for coming to our production of From Colony to Country, the Revolutionary World of John Page and Lewis Burwell. We would also like to thank the people who made today possible, including the Fairfield Foundation, Gloucester's VA 250 Committee, the Gloucester Museum of History, the Waterman's Museum, and Shades of Our Past. Outside, you will find an exhibit of posters, informational posters, prepared by Fairfield staff. There are also brochures for the Fairfield Foundation to my left, as well as Shades of Our Past available also here to my immediate left. The production was made possible in part by a grant from the VA 250 Commission in partnership with the Virginia Humanities. Now, let's welcome back our cast, and let's welcome back our cast. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our cast, Thane Harpole, co-director of the Fairfield Foundation, and Robert Kelly, Historic Resource Supervisor of the Gloucester Museum of History and member of the 250 VA Committee, will now answer any questions you may have about today's performance. Questions?
Did y'all like it? Any questions? This is your chance to ask us. Or maybe it's just too hot and we'll leave.
We should put everybody out there in the shade where the
Yeah.
coolness is, and if you want to talk to any members of the cast or ask Robert or Thane any questions, you can maybe do that where it's a little more comfortable.
Yeah, we'll convene underneath the live oak tree if anyone wants photographs with the, all right, here's a question. Yes, sir.
No, since, Pages and Burwells are big, important families for this area. So I'm just curious, are there any descendants that are here today?
Possibly some that don't know it.
Yes, sir.
So the program was focused on not just the plight of the Burwells and the Pages, but the enslaved as well. So with Dunmore's proclamation freeing them to serve his side, is there any evidence here with Rosewell or Fairfield that the enslaved returned after a period of time?
I don't think for either of those plantations that we know, I don't think we know any particular enslaved people that went to Dunmore or that came back. That's one of the problems with, in the making of the play, is you're trying to put yourself in the time and collect, information from various documents, but we have limits on what we know from both of those plantations and both of those families. And so, our guess is that maybe some of them did flee, but we just don't know.
The reason we picked the two slave names that we did, Isaac had run away earlier, and Nanny was a beautiful story for me who wrote Nanny, in that showing one of the greatest fears, that auction block, and that Nanny actually sees that which she feared. And we do know in 1779 from newspaper reports, Nanny does run away as she's being sold to William Finney. So did she run to Dunmore? Did she just take a chance at this chaos to take off. We just don't know.
We do know that a lot of the enslaved individuals that went to Dunmore, some of them were resettled in Canada, some of them went to the Caribbean, so some of them went back to England, so they did get dispersed to different areas, but the records on that are a little bit,
The only two slaves that I know of in the many years I worked at Colonial Williamsburg that actually came back, and that was because they were brought back, was Johnny of Peyton Randolph and Eve of Peyton Randolph.
Good question, thank you. If no one has any more questions, we will convene outside under the oak tree if anyone wants photographs of the cast. Again, thank you so much for being here today. Sorry it's a little bit warm, but it's all
Very
good.
authentic.
Let's give the cast one more round of applause.